So Arsenal maybe are just able to flip from one style to another and adapt to what they need to do.
And listen, we've only seen one manager beat Pep over a 38-game season, aside from Conte in the first year, which I'll put down to first year. We've only seen one team do it in their way, in their style. Klopp had his style. It was very different to Pep's style, and you know, it paid dividends that season. Arteta's been accused of being mini Pep over the years.
Yeah.
I think that's so far away from the truth at this moment in time. Maybe a couple of years ago, okay, there's some element of truth in that. The four centre backs, even though the first time we've seen that was Liverpool, with Tomiyasu up against Salah. It would be very hard to take a title off Pep playing the Pep way.
Yeah, totally.
So I think Arteta. Listen, on one hand, I get the argument that he's 4 or 5 years in now and he's got to do it. I agree with that. On the other hand, he's still learning. 5 years into any role, you would be arrogant to think you know it all in any role. Operation manager, Marks and Spencer, 5 years and you don't know it all.
Yeah.
So I think what Arteta has done over the last 18 months from the start of last season, so just over 12 months, is think about something different. And what we've seen come out of it is our ability to be flexible in our approach. And I think that throws an element of surprise. I think teams have been used to us playing out the back, and their approach probably in that is try press up high and stop them playing. But now, if you look at our stats, we're going over not just the defence, in large chunks, the midfield too. Yeah. And trying to start off play from the final third, using Raya's great, ball playing ability. So I just think, at the end of the day, the way we're setting up now is testament again to Arteta's abilities as a coach. Because we've still got racking points on the board. We've gone away to Villa, away to Tottenham, away to City, without key players. I know City didn't have a key player or two in theirs as well, and I forgot about Tottenham and Villa and whatnot, their situations. But it's all difficult places to go. So Arteta's found a way to be flexible in his approach, throw the element of surprise against some teams, and I think the more we go into the season, the more teams might be confused in how we're going to set up against them, and that could work in our favour, because again, I feel like we have left ourselves light in terms of squad, but in terms of manager, I still think Arteta's the second best manager in this league. I know Emery's the second best in terms of trophies and experience and whatnot. And if we're talking that, there's no argument. But if we're talking building a team that's going toe-to-toe with Manchester City, Arteta's done it pretty much 2 years in a row now. He's got to get it done this year, but I've got confidence that he can get it done.
Do you think in the way that we talk about De Bruyne being unpredictable, whether it's a through ball in behind or putting it into the top corner from 25 yards, or Foden's got that ability. We talk about City having match winners and different ways of scoring a goal, because they can be direct with Haaland, they can pick you apart, and whatever it might be. Do you think that Arteta, from a managerial perspective, I think we have some top players, and I would put 2 or 3 of them in the world-class bracket. But I'm talking match winners and difference makers. Do you think Arteta is our biggest difference maker, and this unpredictability in tactics and a way to approach a game is almost his throwing something different at the opposition as opposed to De Bruyne? Now, this is not me saying Guardiola is a tactical master and still the best manager of all time, in my opinion, with Ferguson. So I'm not for 1 second. But do you think Arteta's thinking, I have to be better than Pep tactically, more than thinking about it being the players doing it for him? Do you get what I'm trying to say? I'm not trying to put down Pep, because obviously Pep's tactics, he's not just, De Bruyne do it for me. That's not for 1 second what I'm trying to say. But I'm just wondering whether Arteta's looking at it from that tunnel more than the other. Yeah,
I think I get what you're saying here. I think when we look at Pep, we know he's a genius. We know he's one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest. But he's got killers in his side. I don't think we've got killers.
Agreed. That's what I'm trying to say.
I think the closest player we got to a killer is probably Saliba, which, in attack, I think Saka's probably the closest, but you can't put Saka with a De Bruyne or a Haaland. Whereas we don't have that. So maybe Arteta's looking at it and saying, all right, we don't have that, but what we do have is the element of surprise. I know these players can set up this way. I know they can set up that way. I know they can do this at this moment in the game. I know they can manage the game better than they ever have in the last 3-4 years. So maybe he's leaning more towards that. And to be honest, Arteta's a great manager. Yeah. He's got key players to sign contracts at this club, something that Wenger struggled to do a lot towards the back end of his career. He's turned around that narrative. Mikel, he's created a harmonious dressing room. So I think he leans on that ability that he's seen. I don't know. I think the difference with him and Pep is a lot more ruthless. But
Sure.
Pep has the experience and you know, trophies to be that ruthless. Whereas Mikel is still very much a baby as a manager.
Sure.
So I think he has to toe the line on how ruthless he is, even though he's shown it in the past. So he's more so used the arm over the shoulder, let's do this together approach, and it's worked so far, and with elements of ruthlessness in it.
Yeah.
So I think they are very different managers. I mean, you can see a bit of Pep in Mikel, but you can see Mikel's taken that bit of Pep, he's taken a bit of Moyes, and probably taken a bit of Wenger as well, and this is what we see now. So Arteta's going to have to do, we don't have killers like Man City do, but killers come with territory, and the territory is they've won 4 in 4. And De Bruyne and Haaland have been key to that, let alone some of the other players they have. We don't have those players.
Yeah.
But start winning titles, you know, they will grow to killers in this side.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think if we are to win the Premier League, Arteta has to have been a better manager that season than Guardiola.
Yeah.
And we're not talking all time. If we are to win the league, he has to have outperformed Pep Guardiola. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to say, and is he aiming for that? And I think you've summed up perfectly there with sort of talking about the killers Man City have.